What do you need me for, my lord? Oh, I'm only called for tax misfilement. Phew, what a relief! Lord Frieza, you're not gonna believe this, but I'm here to add for maternity leave. Frieza, my lord, the new recruits are all lousy dunces. Running an intergalactic real estate empire isn't easy. Hi, hello, salutations, milk lovers, the mayor will have you now. Dragon Ball games usually fall into a few categories: fighting games, RPGs, card games, and what some affectionately call Dragon Ball simulators, with games that aim to translate to their best ability the full extent of what the series can offer in terms of battle. But recently we've seen more splits away from that action-heavy genre, with the best example being Dragon Ball The Breakers, which tried its hand at the more horrific elements of the story and general navigation of the ludicrous power creep of the original series by making an asymmetrical game similar to horror games, where a group of survivors need to escape or defeat through costly needs a villain who keeps getting stronger. This game still respects the elements of the franchise, which relies very little on the fights, and even if it was not a great success, admittedly, it shows a desire to innovate, and I want to innovate. I want more Dragon Ball games to go alongside the punchy stuff. I want a Frieza-themed management game. Dragon Ball F. Planet Tycoon, or something like that. A game where you play as Frieza or other galactic emperors and experience what planetary conquest and resale looks like as a business model, managing your growing empire, negotiating with demanding clients, and handling the logistics of removing the logos from the final product. Now, allow me to walk you through the tutorial of this potential game as proof of concept before we start discussing its meat indeed that came out wrong. You begin aboard your ship. Navigation is locked to planet Vegeta. Among your elite troops, Frieza and his father are speaking. It's your coronation day, you gather, but Cold, fatherly as he is still giving advice. After all, it's his empire you're inheriting. Here you learn about your two main research resources: materials and tech points. Cole guides you through ordering a new generation of scouters, upgrading the outdated models used across the army. Once complete, you arrive on planet Vegeta. You get a bird's eye view of the planet before zooming in on a crowd of kneeling Saiyans, recreating the scene from the Broly movie. Now, the invasion system is introduced. You perform a tech demonstration of your new scouters, detecting Saiyan snipers across the area, and using Frieza himself as an absurdly powerful single unit to eliminate them instantly. After this opening display, a little narration informs you of the goings-ons of the Frieza Empire as time passed. You receive your first contract notification. The galaxy map appears, massive, procedural, and full of potential planets. But for now, there is only one option: a job from the healers, acting as intermediaries. You are guided through the dispatch system and send a squad of Saiyans to conquer the target planet. Saiyans are extremely powerful but not subtle, which fits the client's requirements perfectly. A full moon rises, boosting their power, and while the invasion mostly runs automatically, you are prompted to issue a few key commands to take over, and the planet falls. Your squad returns to the ship and enters a resting period. Meanwhile, you review your empire's internal status, workforce morale, average level, and influence. Before ending the day, the healers request help building a bubble city for the incoming buyers. This introduces a renovation system when you invest resources to prepare a conquered planet for resale, and just like that, day one as Emperor of the Universe is complete. Rounded up with a cutscene of a visit from Lord Beerus himself. Frieza wavers for the first time as he introduces a new mechanic to the game. He says he's going to slumber. It is the only time you see him in the game if you play well, as he has a list for you of a bunch of planets he'd like to see destroyed during his nap, among which is planet Vegeta. That mechanic is simple. Those are hard planets to deal with in specific time frames, forcing you to change your plans every now and then, because not doing them means game over.
I think I peed a little.
Your first real day begins. You are now free to negotiate with clients, deploy your armies, manage resources and research, and expand your empire. What you've learned in the previous section can now be applied by yourself. Saiyans dominate your early forces, and you quickly learn how to rotate troops so your entire army isn't resting at the same time. Trying to invade planet Vegeta will just result in Frieza saying, "Not yet," begrudgingly, but once that day is complete, the tutorial ends in a cutscene where Frieza is finally in his post-minus era design, and you see your strongest unit being taken away from you to conclude the tutorial, with now a more challenging baseline. A Saiyan appears. Sending in your available units don't work, so you have to kill him yourself, as you launch some lovely fireworks. And now, the game can begin. Lie to my face and tell me you aren't sold yet. The tutorial already showed you the core mechanics, but of course there's more depth than that. So let's walk through what a typical day as Frieza actually looks like. You start the day inside the Empire. Your troops have representatives, and they will come to you with demands. Better equipment, more recruits, training, higher pay. The Frieza force is surprisingly functional as a workspace, and keeping morale high means better productivity across the Empire. Ignore those problems for too long and things escalate. Workers can revolt and seize one of your planets, forcing you to either crush the rebellion or lose valuable territory. Some groups require special attention. The Ginyu Force, though, will never betray you, so keeping them strong is always useful. The Saiyans are those you want to be careful with. Raditz, Nappa and Vegeta are very productive Saiyans that are limited in stock. They can't be replaced. If one of them dies, they die. The rest of the Empire, though, functions as previously stated. How do you get new people? Propaganda, which attracts new workers from species you've relocated, and plant visits where you personally scout promising recruits. How do you get materials? Planets under your rule will create a steady influx, but it's a really needed resource, so... Raking havoc will have its benefits, as in massive amounts of materials. Tech points, upgrades people, you need scientists for that. It's a steady resource gained through the many planets you have studying under you. Better armor, improved scouters, stronger healing pods, faster space travel. Keeping your research team safe and funded is essential. And then, yeah, finally, money! You know how real estate works. Either find a nice planet and increase its value over time until someone wants it, or get a steady income through planetary rent, or huge sums of money if they can afford to own the planet and not pay rent. That money will be shared all across your workers, so you know basic economics. Earn more than you spend. This is where the real business happens. The galaxy is a procedural map filled with hundreds of habitable planets. Some you may conquer for resource or strategic bases, but most exist for one reason: clients. Some clients simply want the locals removed, some are desperate and need a planet immediately. Others are picky and want the ecosystem preserved. Species that move into those planets bring their own bonuses depending on what resources they specialize in. Intermediaries like the Heaters can negotiate contracts for you or against you, tightening the terms. Sometimes they'll even inform you that Cooler is offering a better deal, forcing you to one-up him and renegotiate or lose the client. Finding the right planet, conquering in the right time frame, and delivering it in the right conditions is the heart of the business. Just don't forget the occasional mandatory destruction order from bearers. You can retaliate against annoying clients, but ruling through fear might cost you future contracts. At first glance, it seems simple. Your scouter estimates the planet's total power level, so just send stronger troops, right? No. I'm disappointed in you for thinking that, imaginary audience. Invasion mostly run automatically, but you can intervene with orders. The real challenge is sending the right forces for the job. Saiyans, Ginyu members, and battalions led by specialist generals each approach combat differently. Brute force, long-range control, tactical sabotage, or technological warfare. Overwhelming the planet with slightly stronger troops works, but it leads to higher losses and heavy environmental damage. And variables like gravity, technology level, alliances, or key suppression can turn an easy invasion into a disaster. To deal with that, you unlock strategy cards as your empire grows. These can include scorched earth tactics, political manipulation to gather targets, infrastructure analysis and collapse, technological takeover, targeting powerful individuals, and so on and so on. Pair the right strategy with the right troops and you may force the planet to surrender. If you even care about that, that is. If you have time to spare, you can also deploy spy units to reveal hidden strengths and weaknesses. Or maybe something else entirely. After the invasion, surviving units return to rest. If your conquest left the planet in poor condition, you'll need to fix it before the buyers arrive. You might build bubble cities for species that require different atmospheres or terraform the environment entirely. These tools are used to upgrade just like your military technology. Once done, getting the bag is the last step before the next cycle. By default, you are locked into story mode, which lets you experience the full game, including rare scripted events involving the Saiyans, the Ginyu Force, and your elite squads with their own little arcs of their own. They are specifically catered so that you encounter every possible scenario the game has to offer. These story moments also exist to remind you that time is passing. Eventually, you catch Nappa's scouter blabbering about Dragon Balls and Namekians, and just like that, the Namek saga begins. No matter how well you've run the Empire up to this point, this is the moment where history catches up to you. The invasion of Namek ends with Frieza's defeat. A bitter ending. Thankfully, it's also just the beginning. Completing story mode unlocks endless mode and hard mode. Endless mode is, well, endless. You control one of 4 galactic tyrants: Cold, who has the Saiyans under his thumb, Frieza, who is a larger and more organized army, Cooler, who can personally intervene in the battlefield, and maybe a few DLC ones in the future. Each ruler plays slightly differently, encouraging new strategies. Reach a high enough score and you unlock hard mode. Here you play as Frieza after the Tournament of Power, rebuilding his empire from almost nothing in a far more hostile and powerful universe, with a few new mechanics. Join your friend as you run with custom-made Frieza clan members, growing your empires to eventually topple one another. Those are custom characters because I'd assume in the lore it'd be like an in-universe video game like Dragon Ball Heroes, and it allows you to play with more than 3 people at once. But I'd like to come back to the story, because this might not be a retelling like all usual Dragon Ball games, but even older games with other premises usually had what-if elements in them. They love those. We've always loved those. Alright, let's get into this. Firstly, when you are defeating a Namek for the first time, the credits go second. The first message is a power level of each threat that helped in your defeat. And since trading Frieza is blasphemy by that point of the story, the only way you can think of to avert that ending is just relentlessly training your troops, playing even better than before, and you realize quickly that damn, it's not gonna be easy. You don't even know if it's possible, even after all the experience you got in the story of the first time around. But by the skin of your teeth, you pull it off, and you get to actually play the Namek section, where if you manage to win this invasion, immortality becomes yours, and you unlock the bad ending. Which is, you know, the good ending, but bad, you get me. The map being procedural, like Starborn for example, yeah I know, random, means it's the same for everyone. You can share online the nice planets you found and give yourself tips, and also the canon planets here and there that you found, like Yakon and Pupi's home planet, or other unimportant planets. But there are exceptions. Planet Namek, Planet Earth, Planet Yardrat, the Galactic Prison, the Big Gutty Star, the Nameless Planet, and Planet Vampire are all planets that are randomized in location in each playthrough, with extremely low chances of finding one of those by luck. But finding them will result in split timelines from the original story, letting us see what could happen if Frieza encountered those early. Wouldn't that be cool? We spent decades trying to recreate the fights, the beams, the struggle. And don't get me wrong, that stuff is great. It's a core of the series and it's always gonna be fun to throw hands as Goku or Vegeta. The Dragon Ball has always been a bigger universe than just the fights. There's horror in the background, humor, tyrants running businesses. So Bandai, if you're listening, if you've made it this far, if you enjoyed the idea, let me know what you'd add to a game like this. And if you didn't, that's what the comment section is for. And if you liked the video, you know how the ritual works. like, subscribe, ring the bell, appease the algorithmic gods of YouTube. For now though, my hot chocolate is finally heated up and stirred. I've been the mayor. See ya. Goodbye. Farewell.